Hello and welcome to this preview of Swift's African Regional Conference, which is in Accra, Ghana. I'm with James King, who's the Middle East and African editor. Now, James, I'm actually going to Accra, Ghana to cover this event this year, but you're an old hand, so tell me what I should expect from the ARC conference.
Well, it should be another great event this year, as you mentioned, being held in Ghana. It's the 26th edition of Swift's ARC, and normally there are about 500 attendees going to the event. It's one of the continent's leading financial services gatherings. There'll be 30 plus sort of workshops and sessions, and more than 40 speakers, so it'll be an interesting event this year.
What do you think will be the key topics for discussion this year?
The overarching theme is enabling the digital economy, and within that, the event will look at the forces that are shaping the wider sector, looking at things like regulation, technology and competition, as well as how the sector is managing risks. So some of the new risks that are popping up in this new digital world that we're in.
Okay, now there's one or two exciting economic developments in Africa at the moment, isn't there? And we've just seen the launch of the free trade area. What sort of kind of impetus growth do you think that will be?
Well, this is obviously a very interesting question. It's actually one of the opening panel sessions at this year's ARC event, looking at that idea of boosting intra-Africa trade. And as you mentioned, the new free trade area, which is being launched on May 30th, is going to be a huge boost for that agenda. And what we're going to see is hopefully a reduction in sort of tariffs and non-tariff barriers across the continent. But it will be a slow and developing story. It won't happen overnight, but it's definitely a step in the right direction for Africa's economic growth.
Okay, and what about that growth generally? I mean, in the last few years, we've seen some very strong growth in different parts of Africa, but you know, as with everywhere, it's against sort of the headwinds of the global economy. Is it going to grow in spite of that, do you think?
It looks like growth is improving, and obviously ARC this year is being held in West Africa, and that's been one of the more exciting regions for the continent. So we're seeing some really impressive stories across, Côte d'Ivoire, Senegal, Ghana, where the governments there are making a real push to enact structural reforms that are having a very tangible impact on their growth trajectories. So most of those economies are growing at rates above sort of 5% in 2019 and beyond. So it's an exciting region and one that is changing quickly.
Thank you very much, James. And James has been our Middle East and Africa editor for the last 5 and a bit years. He's moving on to be our Europe editor, and we've got a new Middle East and Africa editor starting shortly with us called John Everington, very experienced person who knows the region well. And I'm sure he'll be at Swift ARC next year.